Hi everybody, welcome to No Doctor, Just Healthy. I uh, I just made those little cards just so people can tune in easier. I mean, this is what I hand out when I'm out walking around or riding my unicycle, and people are asking me, "Aren't you afraid of falling off of that?" No, I'm not. And maybe a lot of 79-year-olds have weaker bones. I kind of think so. But I don't know, because I have definitely crashed a number of times. And I am very happy that I haven't broken anything. I thought this elbow was a goner because I landed on it from straight off of the machine right on it because the machine fell into a crack. My, unicycle, down I went, crash. And it might be because of some of the stuff that I do. Well, I have no doubt that I'm improving all over, but I've been taking vitamin K2 for over 10 years, maybe not over 10 years, but near 10 years. And if you could look into history, people weren't even talking about K2 10 years ago. And I tracked it down. I might be wrong, but K1 or vitamin K, which is actually not the same thing, but K1 is to help your body what the heck is that? Blood clots, help with blood clots. But that's not what I take. K2 is actually the calcium manager in your body. It's the manager. So I've been telling people, I'm glad I went that way. When I'm riding my unicycle and people are asking about me falling off, there's often a couple, and they're getting up in time and they're not being too spry, and they're often really surprised to see that I'm 79 because they might be 72 and 74 or something like that. I'm just thinking of some people a couple days ago, or they're 68 and they're already feeling worried about osteoporosis and bone density problems. Isn't that nice out there? Too bad it's a little bit too windy and too warm to be out there for me right now. But I always tell them, I say, "So are you taking calcium pills?" Yeah, I sure do. My doctor's right on top of that. I says, "Are you taking vitamin K2?" They never heard of it. My doctor never heard of it, or I never heard of it. And I said, "Well, so when you take your calcium pill, where does the calcium go?" "Well, it goes in my body." Yeah, anywhere it wants is the answer. I mean, it goes wherever it feels like it. It's not that it can select its own requirement. Anywhere that the calcium is required isn't necessarily where it goes. It just goes where anywhere. So, like if it's sitting in your arteries and you're gaining thickness to your endothelium, your veins and your arteries, this stuff, the calcium pill, might be contributing to heart problems. Well, that isn't a big deal. You can eat real food, that can get calcium out of that, but eat whole food, and that means everything. I mean, I would tell people, it's okay to eat liver. Eat it for your health. Don't eat it because you love it. But unless you love your health, I mean, that's it. But the thing is vitamin K2 suggests to calcium as it's traveling in through your veins and stuff, that it gets transported into the bone marrow. Pow! It gets out of the veins, out of the arteries, out of the heart. It's not causing those calcium blockages that people talk about. And you guys have heard about that stuff. So This K2 makes your skull even harder, which I laugh about it, but elderly people end up with very soft skulls. You know, like sometimes they'll fall down and that's the end. They've busted their head on a step and it's done. Where a 30-year-old wouldn't even thought about it. Would have said, ow, that hurt. You know, somebody else dies. So there's a lot to K2. And if you want to look it up, just ask your computer, side effects of vitamin K2. It's very simple, and then start reading the things they tell you about. There's groups that I like on the internet, there's some that I don't. And I'll tell you what, I don't regard the websites from hospitals or colleges as the best websites. They're the websites that have been in charge of your health since heart failures were just a minimum problem. And today, now that I'm thinking of 1950. 1950, they didn't have much, impact on heart problems. Didn't have much impact on mortality. Today, it's the #1 killer. So let me see. Got 50 years, even 75 years even, of improvements in health and in machinery, especially in pharmaceuticals. And we've got a huge, if you look on a scale, here, watch my finger, 1950, 1960, 1970, 80, 90, 200, 225. The scale has gone to where it's #1 in mortality. Heart attacks. And how do you treat heart attacks? Generally, you treat it by living right. And there's things, I have a buddy who's got a torn heart valve, and I don't know if that was from anything, but he's a real hard worker, and they fixed it. So that's great, But I'd rather not have anything that needs fixing. So I take vitamin K2, and I actually started taking vitamin K2, like I say, 10 years ago, because I just happened to hear that it was good for calcium management. And then I started thinking, well, my bones live on calcium, are built from calcium. Why wouldn't I want good bones? I mean, if you see me walking down the street, I've got perfectly straight legs. That means my legs are strong. If they start getting, rickets isn't really a thing anymore, I don't think, but you get start getting bowed legs, it's a difference there's different ways of getting that way. But as a person that didn't have that problem starts to have that problem, you might have to look into the strength of the bones. So get a bone density test and see if you can feel better from it. But today, vitamin K2, and you get it wherever you want. And if you don't like that brand, change brands. But see this? That's nattokinase. This one is serratioptase. And a little slower. Serratioptase. Now the thing is that nattokinase comes from a Japanese food, a soybean product, I think it is. And I understand that it tastes horrible, and I'm willing to try it. I just can't find it in America, at least not in my part, of America. But nattokinase is extracted from a soy product that's been fermented, and it's very very flavorful, they say. A little bit too much for most people, but in Japan, everybody eats it all the time. And the reason they eat it all the time is because it's so good for you. It manages your blood. And for instance, if you're worried about blood clots and you're worried about blood pressure and you're worried about the condition of your endothelium, which, you know, the inside of your veins, you can just supplement a little bit with this stuff. I don't sell it, but you can supplement with it. You get it from any kind of a company. It just so happens that I've been using this company called Doublewood. They're good, you know, Doublewood, and I feel like their stuff is always doing what I think it's supposed to do. And so I take it, and the bones end up better. So this is one of the things, I have a little list of things that people should get when they retire from the government. They ought to say, here's your nattokinase, here's your serotryptase, here's your vitamin K2, here's your D3 supplement, here's your vitamin C supplement. Live well and keep going. And it it works pretty good, all that stuff. I'm a high-powered guy myself. And now, but this one here, the serotryptase, serotryptase is really cool. It comes from silkworms. And you know, when a little baby silkworm gets big enough to leave the nest, it needs to get out of the cocoon. The cocoon is made out of fiber, which is, I'm going to relate it to our own blood system that is stabilized basically with fibrin. Their fiber and our fibrin, I think, are very similar. So this stuff goes through there, and all of a sudden this little weak, little tired little worm, you know, that can bust out through the fibrin, and because they've used a little bit of serotryptase to soften it up. That's the way I think it works. I hope I'm right. That's why I always tell people to research what I talk about. Don't just go for it, you know. I don't know how many people are, but research it. Now go to your web page, or go to your, you know, your, damn it, I'm really having trouble with memory, but go ask your search engine to find serotryptase side effects. I like to start there, because you'll find so many things that'll send you off in different directions about it. And do some darn research, you know. If you feel like you need to be healthier, this is a great way to do it. And you can get better all the time. Like right now, my project for the rest of the day is figure out how come my legs feel weak all of a sudden. Because I generally have perfect legs. I mean, I can walk, and run up and down stairs. I run up and down bleachers near my apartment. The bleachers are like 2 steps at a time, because I go up the seats. You know, I walk up the seats, and I go up and down those, just fine. And then here I am, getting off the couch, and I'm going, oh man, my legs are so tired. You know, like, I don't know if I'm not replacing the nutrition or what, but this is a part where I would say it's okay to eat liver, you know, because liver is like super powerful food, you know. You can load it up with onions and mushrooms and pepper and salt, and I'd like to put a little bit of hot sauce on it, you know, and just do whatever you want, as long as you can eat it, you know, because liver is really healthy, you know. But anyways, it just doesn't taste right. But anyways, the way that goes. And that's today's class. So thanks for being here. But I'm gonna go out now and I'm gonna ride my unicycle and make it short and put that on the tube, you know, as a short. And if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll get a notice that it's on the screen, you know, so you don't have to miss all the wonderful things. But I'm doing this trying to let you know that you don't have to be just sick. And I'll tell you, one of my videos just recently, I said I've recovered from all the old age problems that I had. And I guess maybe I'm recovering still from my brain. My brain's much better than it was 10 years ago. Way better. I was a mess. But so I'm recovering, you know, and according to the doctors, it's supposed to be the other way around. I'm older, so I should be less. No, I'm older and I'm better. Let's not go backwards. But I'm going over to some place where there's a nice parking lot. I'm going to ride around on my unicycle, and I guess my microphone isn't working, so maybe that's okay. We'll see how it works. Thanks for coming by, and no doctor, just healthy, signing off.